Welcome back to the Road to 50. Greetings and welcome back to another episode of the Vodkast. I'm your host as always, Geycen Oliveira. Today I wanted to talk about a memory that I shared about a year ago on Facebook. I'm going to read it to you to start out with, just so we can get that out of the way. And yes, it is going to be one of those episodes where I rant and rave about something, or at least just tell you about something that means something to me. This is one of those videos that I talk about how it's more autobiographical and you can go back in time. You know, maybe it's the year 2342 right now and my great grand robot is watching this. If so, hey man, it's nice to meet you. I hope your name's not Dennis, but if it is, that's cool too. Anywho, this is the memory. It says, do not injure, abuse, oppress, enslave, insult, torment, torture, or kill any living being, by Mahavira, the Jainist priest, or the patriarch, rather. I don't think that they have priests in the Jainist religion. Jainism is one of those religions that aligns with the Vodkast very well, or at least the message I try to relay. Now, I know I'm not the most patient of people sometimes. I know sometimes I get flustered and angry, and I express it here on the podcast. However, everything makes up everybody. Anger, hate, love, all this, that, and the other. But that's something I wanted to add. I kind of wanted to simplify this a little bit. And so what I did this year is I shared this. Do no harm and love one another unconditionally. This applies to all living creatures. I think that kind of takes over everything. You don't need to have all that other stuff. I'm not saying that I've made Jainism a better religion because I've edited it down, but now you kind of see how we have the Bible 2,000 years later, and no, I won't get into that today. But my point is that it always hits me when I hear things like this. And earlier today, I watched a video at random. I was looking at just different videos on YouTube, things that I thought could improve my life in one way or another. And one of these videos says, if you're already 50, it's already too late. And I'm like, well, what is too late? I mean, I'm on the road to 50. I've only got a few months left, and I'll be 50. So what am I too late to the game for? And so I watched it. And it basically tells you to look at your life at 50 years old, and then look at your parents if they're still alive. And if they're not still alive, look at how old they lived. And then just assume, based on those numbers, you know, you've only got a limited amount of time to live because you never know when it's going to come for you. Yeah, you get my point. My point is that, like, I think that it's super important, not just at 50, but 40, 30, 20, to be aware of it and be present in the moment. And I know that's so hard to do, looking at my younger self now and looking at my children, my boys. God, I wish I could instill in them, if I could instill one thing, is to hold on to your youth for as long as you can, because all of that slips away so quickly and life gets crazier and crazier and harder the older you get, health-wise, friendship-wise, financially, emotionally. All kinds of things change as you get older. And now that I'm on this road to 50, and I'm going to be 50 soon, I start thinking about when my parents died. Now, my dad died when I was 7 years old. He was an older gentleman. He was born in 1914. He would be 110 this November 16th, I believe it is. And November 11th of this year will be the, 2016, 8-year anniversary of my mother's passing. Now, when I was 7, he was, I believe, 68. He was born in 1914. I was born in 1975. If you guys want to do the math, go ahead. I'm not going to do it. 61. My mom died when she was 72, I believe it was, or just before she would have, or just after she turned 72. And I think, okay, let's take a look at those numbers. My dad is 68. I'll be 50. That means, you know, if I live as long as my dad did, I've got 18 years. That's all of your, you know, the schooling that you have to do. I can't think of the term that it's called, mandatory. And now think about how fast those 18 years of your life went by. I remember complaining each and every day, getting up, going to school. Here's a little biographical story for you. I hated school so much after my father died. I didn't want to be around other people. I didn't know how to be around other people. And when I was yelled at, up to this day, it upsets me greatly. Like, I do not like being yelled at, and I can't control my emotions when that happens. But Back in 1982, 83, the Smurfs were really big, and my mother didn't drive, so we had to walk just about everywhere we wanted to go unless I could get my uncle, or if my grandfather was with us at the time, which that's another story, he could take us places. But the times that we didn't have a ride, we were very close to the old Taunton Mall. There was a Bradley's on one end as an anchor store and a Stop and Shop on the other end, and I would go there with my mother or my grandmother quite frequently on long walks we would go for, especially with my grandmother. And to get me to go to school without complaining for the week, my mother would buy me Smurfs at the end of the week at the joke shop. And I look back at that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, there are some parents nowadays, like, it's so weird. Parenting, everyone should shut the fuck up about it unless you know what's going on in that particular situation. It's so hard to judge and say, you shouldn't be complaining to the, I see that meme all the time, like where parents are complaining, you're not doing your job to the teacher, nowadays. And back in our day, it was the opposite way. You're not the student, it's the student's fault. You get my point. Things change so much through life that it's so hard to commit to an ideal. But the one ideal that I think you can commit yourself to is loving one another unconditionally and doing no harm to any creature around you. I mean, those are two simple things that I think should be within us already to do. And I understand, I am a meat eater. I am doing harm to creatures. So I'm not preaching I'm not living what I'm preaching here. I'm also not a Janus patriarch, if you didn't know that. I am a Judas priest, and so I go outside of those Jainism God, I can't think today. The white line on the side of the road, the breakdown lane. I'm doing something. I'm swerving all over the place today. Anywho, these things stuck with me today. And these are things that I wanted to share with you. And this is like I said, the road to 50 usually encompasses these things. These other episodes, I call them Road to 50 episodes because it's on the road to 50. But these are the ones that I share with you, share with my great grand robots, the wonderful life we lived in the 20th and 19th century, and how things have changed. And I just think that the world has gotten... I don't know. People have become more aware of what's happening in the world around them, I think, and I'm hoping that sways people's hearts in the right direction. However, the world itself, visually, outwardly, what the news wants to show you, what you read about, what you see on social media, it's gotten darker and darker. We're seeing more and more wars. We're seeing more and more invasions. We're seeing more racism, more acceptable racism. We're seeing the rights of women being taken away from them. We're going back in time, whether we like it or not. Now, you could be a Christian man, you can be a Buddhist man, you could be a Muslim, you can be a Jewish individual, and it doesn't matter. To not understand that obviously we were moving in a direction that humanity as an evolutionary species was meant to go in. Things are supposed to change, evolve. Science has been so suppressed because of religion so many years. We're so far behind on so many things that we could be so much further ahead on. Cures for cancer. I know there's no cure. Well, there's no money in the cure. There's money in that. But the fact of the matter is we need a generation of people who aren't going to accept that anymore, who can do something about it. I don't know what to do about it. Maybe as you're watching this 5 months from now, 5 years from now, 500 years from now, hopefully, things have changed, or we've found a way to change to make everybody just love each other. I know it sounds like I'm just flipping a switch, but I do feel like there could be a moment in history, a man, a woman, a person, an organization, a movement that could change the way we see things and change the way that our hearts feel towards things. Because so many people are so stubborn in their own beliefs. Like I was saying before, it's so hard to commit to an ideal when ideals change and things change. Things that I would never have thought of saying as a kid in school now are just said all the time. Like, the fact of the matter is that, like, things have changed. We have become better in some ways and worse in other ways. And I'd just like to see something happen to change the world. And maybe it's the Vodkast. Probably not, but I'd like to believe it maybe played a role in it, or at least in one or two people's lives. I've had people reach out to me and tell me the stories of how they've made someone smile that day, or how someone had made them smile that day. So if I can leave you with one ask, let me know in the comments below if you think there will ever be a day where we won't have to live the way we live now. There'll be more balance, there'll be more cooperation, there'll be more friendship, there'll be more love. And let me know how to do that in the comments below. Let me know what I can do to change the world and make it a better place. Because I know not everybody watches is going to agree with everything I have to say, and I totally understand that. And I appreciate that you stuck around and watched it nonetheless. So thanks, man. Or lady. Man or lady. Could be either. Or they're both. Whatever. I don't know. See how things change? Things change so much. Well, fuck it, dude. Let's go bowling. If you guys want to give me the old help-a-rooney, please consider subscribing to the channel. It would be a huge, huge help for me trying to get to 1,000, especially before we reach that milestone of 50. And I think we're about 300 and something off at this point. So any help, any way that you could share this message or share the channel with somebody would be greatly appreciated. What happens after 1,000? I don't know. What happens if we don't get to 1,000? Who knows? We'll find out when we get there. But don't forget to make somebody smile today and make yourself a better person tomorrow than you were today tomorrow. Let's make the world spin a little bit happier and a little bit kinder. Together, let's sing and dance in the sun and the rain is one, my brothers and sisters. Live life to the fullest and love every moment of it, because you just never know when that last moment's going to come for you. However, never live in fear of that moment. Always live in love. But never let your inner child die. Take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and take care of those around you who cannot take care of themselves, for they are the ones that need it the most. And if no one has told you today that they love you, the Vodkast loves you very much, just the way you are. All right, guys, do no harm. I'm Geycen Oliveira. This is the Vodkast, and I'll catch you guys a little bit further on down the road to 50. Take care, my friends, and happy adventuring.
Don't go to sleep with a catch it in your pocket.